with magic and illusion also. So if you take the magic and the illusion and magnify that 3,000 years into the future, or magnify that 3,000 years back, what you'll find out is, hey, all that is possible. You can't believe in God and believe that this devil got the end all and be all to technology, and that's the reason why they say we won't do nothing. Because number one, we think that the white man's civilization and his technology is synonymous to technology. You see what I'm saying? They say an ant in a coconut shell full of water thinks that coconut shell and water is a whole ocean. But to us, we're just looking at it with the water. We got to step outside of that realm. Because I used to battle with it. I learned all the history, spent my life, just learning all this stuff for the last 6 years of my life. And I said, man, I don't know how we're going to get out of this. So see, I'm looking on the inside of the coconut. See, when you study the history, when you get into the mystery, you get on the outside of the coconut. Now today, we went up to Black Media Communications and we saw a picture, actual footage, that the Russians and the Americans got together and had this man-made ship go to Mars in 1962. They were looking at it on Earth, and this spaceship with a camera and all this touchdown on Mars, and they're all rejoicing. Oh, you hear the Russians in the footage, they hollering, and the Americans hollering, saying, oh man, we own Mars and all. Didn't tell the public. We own Mars. And when they said that, just as they touched down and landed, something under the ground started moving. And the Russian guy said, well, oh man, this is even greater than what it is. He said 1962. This is his words. What was it? What was the I'm talking about what was the month? So something 1962. We have May 22nd, 1962, we have landed on Mars. And guess what? There's life on Mars. There was something moving under the earth and was getting it, boy. It was moving out of it, it's moving. Now, going back to Elijah Muhammad and going back to this guy called Hoagland, who is a NASA man, said that there's life under Mars, but Mars had some type of nuclear explosion or something, and the people live underground. Now listen, Elijah Muhammad, in his book Theology of Time that just came out, that Farrakhan just put out, this was the book that he wrote right before he died, and said that people are going to really frequent and hear this one. In this book, he said that we got people that live underground in Mars. The man right here said. Now this white man documented a NASA man saying there's people that live underground in Mars. This is Richard C. Hoagland, a NASA man, and this is serious scholarship. Get this. I lectured at the Revolution 101. Now check this out. In September, I met an obscure lady. She came in, she had blue contacts, and she came up to me and all, and she was a real nice lady. But everybody at Revolution, nobody tripped on what nobody, because we understood that people were there that was trying to look for answers. So you understand? So she came up and she said, I like your lecture you did this morning. It really moved me. She said, but I want to tell you something. She said, number one, I'm under government clearance and I'm under government oath. So I can't just get up and talk because they can throw me in jail for life. Or they can have me executed. She said, but you can talk about it because you didn't take that oath. She said, I work for NASA. She said, I work for a division in NASA in Germany. This was a lady. She said, I want to know, can I get your cassette on Beta? Because she said, because everything in Germany and over in Europe is Beta, it's not VHS. I said, well, I don't know. Not this quick. She said, I'm going back in the morning. I said, well, I really don't know. I said, well, you need to give me your name and your number and all that. She said, no, I want to just tell you this before we go. She said, but I will tell you this. She said, I don't know much of what's going on. She said, but I do know this. She said, there's black people on Mars. This black lady told me. She said, there's black people on Mars. You see, black man is going all over this world. You've always heard, if you anybody that's new to liberation, this might be shocking, but anybody who's been in it a while, you hear all the stories how this is our universe. We've been all over the world. Wherever the white man is gone, we've been there to greet him. Even if he tried to go to space. We've been there to greet him. You see what I'm saying? Now we know they got monuments and pyramids on Mars. You see? And the moon. And the moon. Because they said Neil Armstrong that went, they said that one guy talked and said he saw some things, but Neil Armstrong is a Mason. Yep. 33rd degree, and he wouldn't say anything when he went. And they said not only that, they said when they went, they found out that there was some things, some dust, or something was dust. I forgot how it was, but they said whatever it was gravity on the moon. They said there wasn't no gravity on the moon, so they tried to fake this thing, you know, to try to say, hey, you know, everything floating around and all, and they saying that the moon and all was suitable for life and all of this. Now, I want to get to this. This is a book by Zachariah Sitchin. And in this book, Sitchin, it's called The Stairway to Heaven. You can get them for $4. He's got like 5 or 6 of them. Now in this book, now check this out. NASA created a wheel in 1978. They created this wheel. And they said that this wheel can conserve energy and we wouldn't have to burn up as much fuel and we can use it for future space travel. Because I'm getting ready to end, but I'm okay, space travel. Now look. They said, well, it ain't that funny that you got this wheel they call a flywheel. They said, well, we got one over in some museum in Germany that we got out of Egypt, a Hemmitt, from the first dynasty, identical to it. The wheel. They said, isn't that funny? They said they said it might be older than the first dynasty, but they say it's no younger than the first dynasty. So this thing is old. And there's a story behind this. They said that Ra, because I talk about this ship of Ra, they said that Ra, wherever he landed, they would take this pilgrimage to Heliopolis, or they would call it the city of Om. And they would take this pilgrimage just like the Muslims take a pilgrimage to Heliopolis, or take a pilgrimage to Mecca. And they would worship, or they would pay homage to this spaceship. They said that Ra came down there. Well, what it was just an ancestor came to visit them and taught them the arts and sciences. If you want to believe that or whatever, you understand? See, number one, everything I said, I don't want to ask you to believe it. I don't want to ask you to believe none of this. I want you to get books and research yourself. Because we won't read, we don't read, and some of us can read. That's the point. So, they said that they would make this pilgrimage, and they said around the first intermediate period, when they had all this war going on, and the first dynasty collapsed, some of the pieces got carted off and torn and went different places. And they saying, because of the way these people make this pilgrimage, we understand that Arabia, which you have the Arabs there, the original Arabians are from the Cushites, which is Ethiopia, which is that whole Egyptian and whole Kemetic land, Ethiopia, Punt, Somali, and all of this. They make this Mecca because they taught the Arab, this rusty, dusty Arab, everything he knows. So this pattern that they make this pilgrimage to Mecca, they're saying that maybe beneath that black stone, that Kaaba, which comes from Ethiopia, that they pray to in Mecca, underneath that there's a whole vault, and under there might be pieces of this spaceship, or might be some other types of relic that explain all kinds of things. And even Elijah Muhammad years ago said that there's things up under that Kaaba. You see. Now, if you don't believe, you won't believe. But now, let's get to some stuff that's going to happen in the next few years. Number one, the Dogon Tribes have this ceremony they do every 60 years. It's called the Sigi, or the Sugi, or the Sigi. They do this ceremony every 60 years, so one generation probably won't be able to see it, and the next generation, every generation that grows up will practice this ceremony, but some of them won't even live to see it. But they do it every 60 years. Now, supposedly, what happened is when Jupiter and Saturn comes in conjunction with each other in our solar system, or our galaxy, the Milky Way, right? This is when, and it happens every 60 years. Now, this religion and this science coming from Kemet, they had one every 260 years, every 120 years, called the Hemmitt in Kemet, Egypt. And this was the Festival of Osiris, you see, every 120 years. Now, the last time the Dogon had this Sigi was 1936. That means 60 years from 36 is what? 1996. And we know there's a lot of things happening in 96. Bill Clinton would have been in what, 4 years? You got the Olympics coming in 96. All of this going on in 96. By 96, when the Olympics get here, they will be they would have completed this city, because they're going to build buildings from where the buildings end downtown all the way to where they begin it up here around the IBM building. They're going to fill in all of Midtown. So this city will be completed with all these Syriac monuments patterned after that papyrus out of the British Museum that I talked about. You can document it all. But in 1996, this is when this thing is supposed to happen. But when we take this thing all the way back to Kemet, we'll find out that that Hemmitt, that Egyptian Hemmitt, or that Kemetic Hemmitt, is actually talking about the Tot, or the Taut, or the underworld, or hell. Or hell. The actual hell that the Hebrews got from Kemet and could not understand what it was. They said the underworld, they thought it was under the earth. But they meant the underworld, they were talking about another type of zone. They were talking about something else. And remember I said that the underworld was actually, you can get the book right and read it for yourself. And plenty of books, E. Wallace Budge, From Fetish to God in Ancient Egypt. $9. Might as well get it. It said that the underworld is not talking about actual people under the earth, and it's not really talking about a place under the earth, and it's not really talking about slaying all the people. It's talking about slaying the enemies of Osiris and the enemies of Ra. And Ra has a ship of Ra, and the same ship that Elijah Muhammad is talking about, which is the ship of Allah, or the ship, the mothership. And Elijah Muhammad, see, it's just in another word. Elijah Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, they say. Well, Tahuti in Kemet was the messenger of Ra, because his sign was that moon, that crescent was the moon, was the messenger of Ra. So we're talking about this Tot, and we're talking about all this stuff that's related, and they say that this thing starts, the Hemmitt, and it means the enemies of Osiris and the enemies of Ra. Osiris is a black god and a green god, which is a vegetation god. All the animals eat off the vegetation, which means the god suffers, he suffers. That means that we suffer. You understand? We struggle. If you ain't in struggle, you're going to get taken right out with the beast. You got to get serious in the next couple of years. Now, so it's talking about coming back, and this hell they're talking about is these white people getting ready to get their hell. Now, I don't want to get you spooked out because you thinking. Now, also, there's one, Pluto is the closest planet to the sun. Talking about this cosmos, they said that we needed to learn that the later day religions forgot. Pluto is the closest planet to the sun. Sirius B is the closest planet in the Sirius constellation, which is Canis Major, to Sirius A, which is the brightest star in the sky. And Sirius B orbits Sirius A. Well, Pluto is doing some funny things now, and it just passed Neptune, and it's got this Plutonian energy, and when it gets to a certain path, this divine child Sophis, when Horus and Sophis meet, which is Horus is Jesus that you know of, and Isis is Sophis, and Isis is Mary that you know of. This birth and this recoming, this coming of the second Christ. This is going by our mythology. You can believe it or not. I don't care. Just read. But what happens is it's supposed to come in when all this is supposed to happen, this Plutonian thing, 1994. 1994 is when this thing is supposed to happen. Now the white man that I'm getting this information from, he's writing this information for other white people. He said in science and in mythology and in astrology and in astronomy, they have time doors. And when this time door is open, But it's going to close up in 1994, and we need to save humanity. When he talking about saving humanity, he's right. He's talking about saving their own behind. So I'm giving you these dates because I don't know how this thing is going to work. I'm not God, but I do know that stuff is starting to degenerate now. We see it all around us. And a lot of things are starting to happen, and a lot of things are going to be happening at this time. And he said this time door is going to close in 1994. Also, we got a cycle of the goddess Segment, or the goddess Oya in Yoruba. Her cycle began in 1989, and her characteristic is floods and hurricanes and all of this stuff. And in 19, we done had what, Hugo? We just had all this stuff, and what's that? Andrew, and every fall we got people getting wiped out all over the place. So, and it's all in your Bible, because you go by your Bible, but you don't go into your Bible. It's all in your Bible. So what I'm saying is, if these things are right, and going back to this pig, remember I told you that the pig was the lower half that was beat out of the ancestors, and it chased in the pigs. And when you eat that, well, if the pig is Set, because I said that because the pig represents Set and Set represents the white man, then that's telling you again that the white man is nothing but a pig, and the white man is nothing but our lower half. It's our spirits, the lower half of our spirits regenerate into white people. That's going by what the doggone Egyptian said, or the Kemetic said. So based on that, I'm going to close out, but I want to entertain some questions and answers or whatever. But I'm going to close out, brothers and sisters, and what I do say is this. What you might think is spooky, you remember this. Truth is stranger than fiction. And we live in a society where we are lied to every day. The European don't lie some of the time, he lies all of the time. And because you have a concept of the world based upon a European concept, you have the concept of the world based upon a lie. And based upon that lie, you better start listening. And anything that you think is sounds like the right stuff, you always take the stuff that sounds spooky, because that's the stuff that's right on time. And this white boy knows it because he has all our papyrus and all of our knowledge locked up in museums around the world, and he studies this stuff right in his masonry. Black Mason, he gets to be a Mason. He don't do nothing. I know what I'm talking about. I'm a Mason. You can challenge me on this. He don't do nothing but drink liquor and drive cabs. He knows the symbols, but he don't know the substance. If you get Albert Pike's book, Morals and Dogma, he's talking about all of this in there. That book was written in the 1800s. So that means that they got almost 140 or 50 year jump on us. You see, the book, the ritual that we go through, once we learn that ritual in Masonry, we just continue the ritual, just like we do in church. We continue the ceremony. We don't never get no knowledge. Whereas once he wants to learn that ritual, he puts the ritual down, he uses it to open and close his lodge, and use it as the government of his lodge, but he's learning all of this science. You say, well, how do we have this available to us now? Because we're supposed to be learning this about 70 years ago. This New World Order, they put that in effect 20 years ago. So they're giving you the books now, and you're saying, oh, we own it. No, you ain't own it. You too late. Now, what I'm saying is this. The next couple of years, you go work for them white people, but you need to separate from the white people as much as possible. You mentally, because it's a mental thing. See, this is a vessel. And after this vessel, you have an inside, you have a soul, and we're talking mentally. You got to separate from this man, because this man is going down. And I don't want black people to go down with it in this cycle. You see what I'm saying? Number two, since they're talking about the despised and the rejected, they're not really talking about the black middle class no more, because you live good just like white people. All of that. Don't tell me you live good like white people. You the biggest consumers in the world. Well, you say, but what about the underclass? Well, the underclass, the mentally dead, even worse than we. They are the victims, total victims. They're dying every day now. We don't catch none of that. We don't catch. My man, he used to work for outreach. He used to go into projects and see women living in houses without not even no roofs on top. You don't know how bad that is because you ain't been to no projects. You see what I'm saying? The crack babies, the crack mamas. You see what I'm saying? So what we got to do in the future, within the next 5 or 6 years, is we got to identify mentally in the mental struggle with our people. You hear Farrakhan say, I don't go nowhere. I don't partake in all this foolishness out here because I am in constant struggle with my people. You see? That's the way I am. I'm in constant struggle with my people. That's what I do. I went to college. Between 1980 and 1988, I didn't see none of my adult life outside of a college institution. But I had a friend. But I came from a family of school teachers. I had a friend that grew up with me, right along with me. Didn't see none of his life outside of a correctional institution. We met in 1988. I was getting ready to go to New York and design shoes. And we met in 1980 because I'm an art major. And certain things between 1988 and now, because I had such a good life, I must struggle for those who had the worst end of the stick. That's what we got to do. We got to sacrifice for the brothers and sisters that's down in the dumps. If you don't think that you can't come at one with your people, you fooling yourself. But guess what? You ain't got to worry about it because y'all going to be on that level too. Because we got one good friend. He called the white man. And you best believe before this white man is up, you're going to be right there with little mama with the gold tooth and the doggone red hair. You better get with her now in your mind because you're going to have to embrace it. Because I'm telling you, I told my mama, hey, I say the black bourgeoisie, my mama a big-time school teacher. She was getting ready to retire. I said, I hope we catch hell for the next 8 years. That's when Bush first won. Why do you want to say that? Why you want to say that? I say because, look, if we don't start catching hell, we'll never know. And we'll never be whipped into shape to get into this liberation. And we'll always be under the foot of this cracker. It's until we get rid of the notion that this cracker is everything and turn against him that we can liberate ourselves. So brothers and sisters, I thank you for talking to you, and I know it's been long, but you want to have a question and answer? Go with it. Anybody want to entertain any questions? Oh, I guess I laid it out pretty good. Okay, look, that's a good question. We got two contradictory theories going on right here. And let's just deal with it right quick right here. I know you got to go, but we're going to rush this right along. Number one, we understand in scholarship they're saying that our civilization is 2,000 or 3,000 years old, or maybe 5 or 6 at the most. But now we understand that now scholarship is proving that wrong. Right? So we understand that the evolutionary process that Charles Finch and Dr. Diop talks about, it talks about man traveled up into Europe, white man traveled up into Europe, and he, and after so many thousands of years, he demyelinated or mutated, if you ever heard that story. Right? Okay. Those are theories, and they are good theories, and I'm not saying that those theories are not wrong. I'm saying that there's certain lineage of time that these things occurred, and I'm saying that there's some other stuff. Now, don't you know that the only archaeological story that we have, you have the anthropological story, which would be the theory. Then you have the archaeological story which would prove as the evidence until you find later evidence, right? The archaeological story is, in the Temple of Seti I, there's 3 races of men. The Nazi, the Hemmu, the Ruti, and the Tamahu. The Nazi is the black South Africa, blue-black South Africa. The Ruti is the Kemetic around the Nile Valley, which would be black too, but wouldn't be the prototypical West African and South Africa, right? The Hemmu would be your Semitic type. And the Tamahu says, now they just tell you what they are, black man, when you get to the Tamahu, they say the Tamahu, Tama meaning created, and the Hu meaning white, light, and bright, Tamahu meaning the created white man. In the temple of Seti I, and also in the vast release of Biblion Manuk, which is the Ramses V son, the son of the Ramses V. In this temple, they have the origin of man right there on the wall. It's probably gone by now. But Champollion in 1835, right after he translated the Rosetta Stone, he went to Kemet, and he was hurt about what he saw on the walls of Kemet, because he saw this Tamahu, and this is where this story came from. So this is the archaeological find. They say he's created. Just as Elijah Muhammad says he's created, and in Theology of Time, he said the Egyptians created him. But Gerald Massey, in his book of the Beginning, Volume 1, said that the Nazi and the Ruti created the Tamahu. So now, we got two things. But this is the archaeological part, coming from Champollion's works, coming from Diop's works. You can read chapter 3 of the book Myth of Reality. Also, you can read in his book Civilization of Barbarism. I think it's in Does African Philosophy Exist? And also Donnelly's work on Atlantis, the antediluvian world. You can read on the Tamahu. Got pictures of one. And also in Gerald Massey's work, Book of the Beginning, Volume 1. So I'm saying we didn't catch this hell for nothing. Maybe we brought it on ourselves, but we know we paid for it. So you believe what you want, and what I believe is not really important. I'm just giving you other sources that they don't talk about. But Diop talked about them, but he didn't go into what Champollion went into. We can't get that now. I'm trying to look for the book now, and he didn't go into what Gerald Massey went into, which Gerald Massey is a white boy that is the 19th century Diop talks about. And I think he didn't go into it. He talks about how the white man was such a hideous looking thing in this temple. But the reason why he didn't talk about it, I think, because he had a doggone white wife. See, when you sleep with the beast, you can only go but so far. Then you got to compromise. Any other questions?
Let me interrupt for just a minute, because I know people are leaving. And to take this time to remind everybody that we're totally supported by your donations. And we don't get any grants from anybody. We do it all ourselves. So we need you. And keep that in mind that we have asked for a $3 donation. So please excuse me. Continue with the questions.
I know you talked about 1994.
Yeah.
You said that the white man is supposed to demolish, right?
Right.
What about us? Will we be here too? We're going to phase out.
Well, my thing is this. Like I said before, obviously, the cycles, what happens with the cycles is one undoes the other. Horus undoes Set, and Set undoes Horus. Horus. That's in the cycles. We know that the Setian people are white people. We know that the people of Horus and the people of Osiris are black people. So, you saying whether we're going to go out with the cycle too. I'm saying, unless you find some kind of way to get into the ongoing struggle of your people, we're going to go out with it too. But I'm telling everybody in here right now, and you can mark my word to this, you better get used to seeing a lot of black people die. Because between now and in the year 2000, which we are on the agrarian calendar, which is 4 years behind. So in actuality, this is 1996 now. So when they talk about 1996, they're actually talking about 2000 when that comes. When we say in 1996, it will be 2000 and 1996. What I'm saying is, you better get used to seeing a lot of black people die. It's a common fact. They're going to be casualties of war. You see what I mean? That's the weeding out process. And it's up to you to try to get as many people as you can to doggone listen to this knowledge. It's not here by mistake. All of a sudden, 2 years ago, we shaking our behind. And we still doing that now, dedicated to the preservation of shaking our behind. And then all of a sudden, overnight, boom, all this come out.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Boom. I remember when I came to Atlanta in 1996, 86, the AU Center wasn't about nothing but polo, the Clark College Polo Club, the Yuppie Buffy, the BMW, and all that. And overnight they started wearing them koofies and stuff. But we still got that element still there. So what I'm saying is this: who are the despised and the rejected? Don't you know that you despise and reject those people too?
That's right.
So obviously it can't be you. Let me tell you something. I live in Zion City. Now what? Respect us. You see what I'm saying? They really respect us. But because we do not embrace them, because that's the way the talented tempted Du Bois talked about, and all it's supposed to be. You're supposed to get it, and you're supposed to refunnel it back to the lower masses. And it's supposed to come as one. But because we are scared of them, because the white man has done put this element, and another thing too, I think you need to, what's the lady name you're going to have next week? Is it next week?
Fayola.
Fayola. You need to go see this lady, because she says this white man going to reverse this thing on us. Saying that he going to tell his people that we the devil, and he's going to use our pathology that we see on the TV screen every day to support that, and then he will have an excuse to wipe us out. You need to go see that woman. She's going to be there, 4 o'clock next Saturday? At the Black Media Communication, right beside the beautiful restaurant on Cascade. So what I'm saying is, that's all our people need. See, we can't sit up here no more and say we for liberation and don't even go to the people that's catching the most hell right now. You see what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. The other night I was in the little store. Hey man, what's up? All kind of drunk people. Hey, what's up? Nigga, what's up? I said, yo, what's up? I say, they were saying, and I had a book on you. What that UFO thing, man? Get out of here. I said, guess what? They didn't believe nothing about the UFO. I said, this is something that's coming back to kick the white man in the behind. Right there, they jumped on it. They said, what? They believed it right there because they're catching so much hell. And one old black woman, there was a black woman in there about 60 years old. This black woman said, Lord, this black woman, she was about 60. She said, Lord, I hope something come back. Somebody in the behind. You see what I'm saying? So we got to identify with those people. You understand? Because we have created our own little world. You see? Because we don't have a community anymore. Community is made up of different people, and one helps the other up the ladder. We don't live in the community no more. We moved out of all our communities. I walk down Sunset Street and I see fabulous black homes. Gone to pieces. Martin Luther King used to live right up the street. Because niggas all out in Buckhead. Now, I'm not blaming people now for going out there because the initial people who moved, the communities went down until now when you come out of school, you can't live in them communities. Almost. So I'm not blaming that. And I'm not saying that you're supposed to go back mentally in the project, at least, but you're supposed to go back mentally sometime and get them people some help. Whether you do a soup line or whatever. See what I'm saying? Whatever you do, I don't give a dog on what you do. You're supposed to do something. You got some old clothes, you don't need no old clothes. Black women got shoes, go into bed, all under the bed now. Take some of them shoes and give them to some of them women up in the projects. See what I'm saying? But go back spiritually. You got to be at one. You got to despise this cracker. For every time you see a doggone black person down in the dumps, anytime you see one go to jail, you got to despise him even more. You can't let down your guard for the devil. But the point is this. We got to do that, and we got to become more and more in struggle. You got to give, even if you just sit in your house and give up some things. Give up some of these luxuries and teach your child that it don't mean your manhood or your money your manhood or your womanhood is not measured on how much money you make. That is a false life. It's an unreal world. The man is created because he's a capitalistic being. And he's created it, and you function under it each day. That's why if you don't have no money in your pocket, you don't feel like nothing. See what I'm saying? You gotta really, if you gotta take an inventory and take the stuff that you really dread giving up. See what I'm saying? The diet, Wherever that cracker get his food, better go and get your food. Because right now, they tag everything that they send out to the black community. They already know that. You see what I'm saying? Number one, you know the people who stay sick the most are the people who go to the hospital all the time. Think about it.
That's right.
Most of the people that stay sick the most are the one that got more pills on their dresser.
Remember Tuskegee?
You see what I'm saying? You better go to the health food store and they got stuff that's 3 times better than that. And that lets you know something, because in November they're going to put a law to get rid of some of these vitamins out of the health food store. You see, they're getting ready to control you completely. Any other questions? Yeah.
You said the Dogon ceremony takes place every 60 years.
Yeah.
When's the next one?
Well, the first one was in 36. So.
In 36?
Well, the last one was in 36.
So you're saying 96?
96.
So it correlates with the demise and the degeneration of the beast?
Well, let's put it this way. We know that he's doing everything by 96. You gotta look at the pattern of the white man. Now we understand that the Hemmitt, you see, everything I read, I go and check it out in further source. Now I couldn't read no hieroglyphics, but I understood that when Robert Temple in his book Serious Mystery says why every 60 years, and he correlates that with the Egyptian Hemmitt, because we understand that the ceremonies and all that came from Kemet. And he said the Hemmitt, and he said the Hemmitt is when the Tau or the underworld or the Amenti starts. I go to the hieroglyphic dictionary, who a white boy who ain't got nothing to do with Robert Temple, 100 years before, Budge, who translates the hieroglyphic dictionary, and also Alan H. Gardner in his book Egyptian Grammar. And in both of those books, if you're going to learn hieroglyphics, you're going to get one of those 2 books. In both of those books, they say the Hemmitt means the end. That's it. That's the end of it. You see? So that's 96. So I'm saying is we putting pieces together of the puzzle together. Now, my thing is this. Somebody gonna kill me and give me a puzzle. Tell me I better follow this puzzle. Whether I believe the puzzle or not, I think that's too bad of a thing, or too important of a thing not to even take a look at. You see what I'm saying? Because we don't know what the cracker got in store. So what it means is any little dates that we got, we all talking about man gonna kill us. But any little dates that we have, we need to take those and we need to write those dates down. You see what I'm saying? Now what I'm saying is when 1996 comes, or 1994 comes, when this time door closes, you might still be here. But that's not the point. The point is something is moving in the universe, and something might happen to him where he cannot kill you at the date that he said. You understand what I'm saying? Now what is that saying? That's not saying for you to go and look out of the sky and say, well, I'm waiting on the mothership, so I ain't got to do nothing. Because with that takes responsibility. It's just like my man, one guy said if you learn this knowledge and you try to forget it, you'll go crazy.
That's right.
It's just like getting a PhD and going back to the 5th grade and sitting up in one of them little desks and somebody teaching you about A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3. You'll go crazy. Because with this, for much whom is given, much is required. Bible. You see what I'm saying? And faith without works is dead. Bible. That don't mean that you're supposed to just sit here and wait. You have a responsibility. Just to teach it to your child. Get out of these holidays. You know what I mean? Any type thing. I'm not saying there's one thing, but we've got to be serious about what's going on. Number one, take your child away from that TV set. Now that is the evil eye.
Come on.
And until you have the knowledge of what's going on, don't watch the news. I can watch the news and say, oh, okay, I can see what they're getting into. I can see what they're getting into. Brothers, you can do that. Brothers is conscious and sisters are conscious, they can do this. For us, if you're insane, you don't believe that TV set. That TV set destroys lives. And it keeps us the slaves that we are. Another thing too, they're getting ready to put us to sleep. Because don't you know that they keep enough black TV shows out? And they keeping up black movies out now? They started giving us, and they cut the movies out in the late 70s. You put them in the early 70s because we just got out of the civil rights movement.
Right.
And if you notice, and if you get the book Hierarchy 300, what's the guy's name?
John, it escapes me right now.
I should have brought it. If you get that book, it tells you that they put people to sleep through the music.
Coleman, I'm sorry.
John Coleman. They put people to sleep through the music. You see, when the music stopped playing, we start to liberate. Right now, we are dancing our way through lives, because when I look back through college, I say, what was I doing through college all them years when I was ignorant? What was I doing? I was partying and booging, and I can tell you every song what went on. Tell the truth. When that song played, you can just say, I remember when this song came out. That is the drug. You understand? That is the drug. So now, and right after the 60s, you went from Motown being a black label and this King Records that James Brown owned to the Atlantic, Warner Brothers, and all those, put all those black artists on there. Mercury.
Let me interrupt you for a second. You said black TV shows.
Yeah.
Now, did you say that they are putting to sleep by black TV shows?
No. This is what's happening.
Because the black TV shows I'm seeing now are, they are...
No, let me tell you. Let me tell you. No, what I'm saying is this here. Let me tell you about the black TV shows. What's happening with the black TV shows is just like the music. When they're going to kill you, when you put a crab in that pot, when you put a crab in the pot, you don't put that crab in there with that hot water, he'll jump out the pot. You put him in with some warm water and simmer his behind to death. Turn the heat up a little bit until it simmers him to death. Well, that's what they're doing to us. This is a simmer process.
Yeah, the simmering.
But they're doing it with the black bourgeoisie because we are the masses. We are the boys. You know this, let me just want to explain this one thing, I'm going to let you talk. What they're doing is this. They're giving you all the black movies now. All the black TV shows. You already had the music. They're giving you the black music. Ain't it funny that black people in the entertainment world is working and other black people ain't working nowhere? Seems like me, the entertainment world would suffer, and we know it would suffer because you know it's a pattern, because when the economy was good in the 70s, in the early 80s, they phased out blacks in Hollywood. Now the economy is bad and they got all the black people working. But they're letting you do this, and don't tell me when you see Different World and you see this new show with the Saturday Night lineup is full of that stuff. Martin, and you see Patti LaBelle, you say, oh man, black people have made it in your mind.
That's right.
We have overcome.
We have overcome. You understand? This is keeping us asleep, and it's keeping the brother in the projects asleep too, because when he see the black bourgeoisie making it, he thinks there's something wrong with him. So he's going through a double death.
That's right.
See what I'm saying? What you gonna say?
No, so you have any comment on BET?
BET is owned by Time Warner, isn't it?
Right. It's sold out.
Owned by some Jews. Look, the man ain't gonna put nothing on his tools.
Sure it is.
It's
But
gonna
it's
be
supposed to be owned by us, it's supposed to be managed.
no. It was a black guy, but you gotta realize you gotta stop.
Yeah.
See, you gotta realize when you say a black, it's just like when Farrakhan went to Johnson Publishing Company and asked them to do those products in 1987, and they told him no, or 85, and they say no because my distribution, 95% of my distribution is owned by Jews. Well, a TV show is not without distribution.
That's right.
See what I'm saying? And your magazine is not without distribution. You know, black people don't have no stores that they can put magazines in. We still on the mom and pop level. All the stores that sell fashion, fair makeup, and sell all these big time magazines are owned by white people.
Yeah, but that's all you see on BET is dancing and singing to me.
That's right.
That's it. That's it. That's all you're gonna see.
And before, and when it first came on, Video Soul was the whole thing they had on.
That's it.
The only thing.
That's right.
And they took Bev, which is the most controversial. I love the sister.
Yeah, cut her to one time.
They cut her the dog on 30 minutes.
And she's only
That's after they bought it.
They used to have at night where people...
Right, but you know, let me tell you about the talk shows. Let me tell you about the talk shows. The talk shows are set up for this. Donnie, he'll come in with the liberal thing and tell you I'm all this here, all this liberal
That's
stuff.
right.
What he does is he'll say one thing, he have a white on, he'll say one thing to get the audience heated up. And by the time the audience cool down, the credits going up. Do it every time. So every black person get on there. That's why I applaud Farrakhan when he got on there. He had doggone fruit up in there, standing around, and nobody didn't get out of line because they had all these bold black men, and he got his part across because he's going to do that anyway. But most of the people that they bring on there, they what? Before you know it, they got the crowd riled up. And once you get a person mad,
That's it.
in a 30-minute time frame, all his rationale is gone. Especially this white man that hates you anyway.
That's right.
Once you get him mad, you can make sense to him. And you know they controlled by this country too, this America thing, because they come up and say the same things. You understand? You find out that they're way dumber than we are. We went out to Emory University, me, Kimberly, Asa Hilliard was out there on a ski tour, and they had anthropologists out there, archaeologists, and Mark Menard was out there with his book Black Athena. He said, well, white man wrote a good book. We're going to make sure he go out and tell Emory University what he wrote in the book and no buck dance around it. So they went out there and he had to bear witness because he had all the black scholars in the crowd. And after that, the white people was riled up. They were so dumb. Everybody was standing. They had people standing up off the street slaying white people. Anybody who had just that much of conscience. Because how he keeps America fooled is by keeping everybody ignorant. So he can put in the white people place, in the white people heads what he wants to anyway. That's the way it is. Anybody else? Anybody else? Any questions? Well, number one, I just want to say this about this UFO phenomenon. They just turned on this satellite in USA Today. Hello out there. They turned on this big satellite. I think they got a big picture of it in here in Mexico. They turned it on in October. When they turn it on, let's see if I can show you a picture of it. I think this is it.
That's one of them.
That's one of them. And they turned this thing on. Now what they're going to do is this. What happened is this. They kept it from the public all those years. So now they got to tell people. But the public going to say, well, man, if you kept it all those years, what's behind it? So to keep people from asking what's behind it, they're going to go and tell people and get the jump on telling people by saying, creating this hoax here, $1 million hoax, probably it's been up. Just a cost for some aluminum and all this type thing. Oh, yeah, we got UFOs out there. Ooh, yeah, we got UFOs out there now, you see. And then you be like, yeah, well, what is it? And they give you all these little green men. But like Bill Cooper said, the little green men, he said throughout history, the little green man did not come into play until the 1940s when they learned how to clone things. And they clone all these little green things. They mix all kind of monkeys, dogs, and hog butts up and clone all kind of little freak animals with human stuff. And you see all this thing here. So they got see, they got their own UFO program out in Nevada and now out in Alabama. And you can go and see these things go up. He went and saw them Sunday night, last Sunday. He went out to Alabama. He's from Alabama and saw the UFOs going, a little small thing, but they're UFOs. They're getting ready. And they clone, so they got this little green stuff going on with this cloning thing. Plus also, like I said too, we are in illusion, so we don't reveal ourselves all the time also too. You see, because since we're into this magic and this illusion and we're the masters of it, we make you think and you see what you want to. But the point is, they're getting ready to put this out. Now you're waiting for, and I know that a lot of people still don't believe this UFO thing, but you're waiting for something to come. And when it comes, that's the old saying, when Jesus knocks on the door, you will shoot him down. You won't be ready for him. So, at this point right now, you need to be aware of everything that's going on around you. And I guarantee you, in the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to see all the UFO and all this stuff coming on because they got to tell people. They got to tell them so they can get people prepared for what's coming. So you'll have a frame of mind, and just like black people, they're going to tell us, and we're going to fight our own people that's coming to liberate us. You see what I'm saying? Black people. Another thing I want to put in the thing, these black cops around here are going damn fool. Use this expression. These cops, these black cops, they are brainwashing these cops or something. Because these black cops are going fool. Now, if somebody in here, policeman or whatever, and you know some people, they might be some cool ones. But I'm saying a lot of these people, I ain't talking about them, fine, they ain't got nothing to worry about. But a lot of these black cops are going buck wild. They're going to go out with the system too. You see, the other day we was walking, went to Clark College's parade, and we were walking back to the car. Me and this brother here in the green and a cop, and we were walking in the middle of the street to try to get in a little black side street in a black neighborhood. He said, y'all don't know where the sidewalk is? Right? And so we said, we getting ready to go to the car and all. So he rolled up a little bit, and we was still walking in the middle of the street, getting ready to go to the car. He stopped, he said, y'all don't know where the sidewalk is? Man, that mom was just that mad. I said, oh, shoot. You understand? He was just that mad. He was like, y'all don't know where the sidewalk is? And my man Robert was like, oh, that's when you better start buck dancing. Anytime the buck dance, don't go to no jail. This ain't the time to be going in and out of no jails. So he was like, sir, here's the car right here, here's the car right here. You see, these cops are going buck wild. Crazy.
Sorry, this young lady has a question.
Yeah. Ask.
You said that the white man comes from our lower nature.
Yeah.
Okay. And you also postulated that that possibly the Egyptians, the Phoenicians created these people through grafting or what have you. And I guess she wants you to be a little bit more clear on.
Well, number one, what I did when I said the Tamaru, I stated an archaeological find.
And when did this happen? I'm sorry.
An archaeological find. Well, we can go back to the Twa people. Now, if you get the book Christianity Before Christ, there's a white guy that wrote a book that's stated in there called Pygmy Kitabu. What's the white guy's name?
It's French. It's Jean Hallett.
Yeah, Jean Hallett or something like that. Something. But anyway, he said that the Twa people had a civilization like Hemmitt, but something went wrong and they tore it down. Now, Ptah in Kemet means Twa. They got the god Ptah, which is one of the main gods, deities in Kemet, means the Twa people, which is the pygmy, which you would know. And they said they had a civilization and it was torn down. But the Twa people also talk about that Ptah was the fashioner of life. He's the one that had his hand in fashioning man. Ptah created man with his potters on his potter's wheel. That's where you get we all made from dust in the Bible. That's what they're talking about. Ptah creating fashioning man on the potter's wheel. Well, what happened is, based upon a little bit of research to try to explain some things, you have an albino dominant and an albino recessive. And we know the albino dominant can have black people and have black features, but an albino recessive can, if it's met with another albino recessive, it can have a white offspring. Now, whether you say it's in Europe, because if you go to Charles French, The Evolution of the Caucasoid, he said that even if it's in Europe, that this theory says we migrated up into the Ice Age. He still said it was a time when this mutation occurred, when they started reproducing among themselves. So now we've narrowed it down to the fight between whether they did it in Africa and was forced out, or whether they did it in Europe. Now, there's no mistake that there's archetypes of black people being in Europe for thousands of years. We know this. But they don't necessarily mean that those black people turned into white people in Europe. That means that the people traveled up into Europe, and you still could have a people that's mutated and grafted down in Africa and forced on up into Europe. Or you can have this evolution of the Caucasoid type thing where they, by the Ice Age. Either way, even scientifically, he's a mutation. And the melanin and the black substance is the spiritual part, and it is in every human living thing. Even the trees have melanin, but the white man. And you don't have mutated animals because they kill off the offspring of the mutated animals. You see, and if you notice, they say that Charles and Richard King says that it's in children for a little age, white children. And you see a little bit of melanin in the freckles. It's in children for a little age, but by the time they get around 18 or 19, it's like rocks. Richard King talking. You see, and we know now. He said when he was in college that he asked the white professor, said, what about the pineal gland? And the white man said the pineal gland has no significance whatsoever. And he said he went from the man class, marched across the yard and went into the library and looked, and this man had a whole section of books where he wrote on the importance of the pineal gland. See what I'm saying? But anyway, this thing is they have a lower nature. They have a guilt deficiency. That means the white man can kill, and he can have any kind of excuse to justify it. It's all right. Just look at it this way. If he's not the devil, can you kill 1 billion people? Do you know that the original Dracula, which is this spook Dracula, this vampire thing, but the original Dracula killed over, what it was, 100,000 people? Or what?
About 100,000.
100,000 people?
They were Vladimir was like, Vladimir, they impaled him on
and they got, and we have all kinds of Europeans just killing millions of people. We got Cecil Rhodes, killed millions of Africans. Rhodes Scholar, you getting a Rhodes Scholar now.
Bill Clinton.
He's a Rhodes Scholar.
Bush, a Rhodes Scholar.
You see, the ancestors ain't gonna forgive. You can forgive, but the ancestors ain't gonna forgive, and they ain't gonna forgive you for being a doggone fool and the white man's nigga in 1992. You see what I'm saying? It ain't gonna happen. So I mean, we got millions of cases, but then again, that's the nature. That is the nature of black people. You know, we got to be God to even forgive the devil. You see? And that's in the African story too, because ISIS caught Set Typhon and let him go. See, the mythology is telling you all about yourself. If you get this book, that book I showed you, you get this book in several papyruses. There's a papyrus in here called Horus and the Winged Dish. The winged dish ain't nothing but a doggone spaceship. In the papyrus, the destruction of the mankind. Destruction of mankind said that, look, we have Set Typhon, and Set Typhon is, and the Setian people are going against Ra to kill Ra. And so he sends out Segment, and Segment slays up so many. He sends out Hathor, and she slays up so many of them. And then he said he's going to send out Segment. Segment was going to end it all, but he said, well, I don't know. He gave in and filled the desert land on where the Set people dwell in Asia with beer. This is the mythology now. And when she got there, she drunk the beer and got happy and got drunk and went on home. He even gave up. That's the nature of black people to give up. That is our nature. I mean, just think about it. Here's a little old Europe. Here's a big old Africa. And we let a grown-up juvenile delinquent come in and take over all of Africa. And we still giving in. That's what the whole Bill Clinton thing is. But we are the people of God. But we'll forgive anybody but our own self. See, that's the bad part about what happened to us. This white man can say he can say, I hate niggers. Segregation today, segregation tomorrow. And you will vote for him in 1982 like you did with George Wallace. But a black man or woman can step on your toe. And you'll kill her.
Yeah, yes.
You'll kill her. Or she can do some minor stuff and you say, I don't speak to the bitch no more. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's, you know.
One of the things, going with what you're talking about, now, what we go through, the white man wouldn't even begin to go through if we were, oppressing him.
Right.
He wouldn't even go through this.
Oh, let me tell you this. Now, we know that they didn't have slavery in Africa. They had, when Hemmitt became an imperialistic state, they had to, because the Europeans kept coming in, kicking them in the behind, so they had to black men had to stand up and fight. So when they went up and started fighting these Asiatic countries, they would bring prisoners of war back. You know what a slave used to do? There's a papyrus where the slaves say, where the Pharaoh say, look, this is a slave. Give him anything he want. He lived in the Pharaoh's house. He even married the Pharaoh's daughter. See what I'm saying? So that's slavery. It's not even the same of what happened here. You all know about the cruelties of slavery. There's a court case on the books in Europe. It's in England. What happened was they had to make a date. People say you got to be back at such and such a time with these slaves. So what they would have to do is throw slaves overboard so the boat can pick up speed. You know they used to throw so many slaves overboard until the sharks had developed this sense that they would follow the slowest boat because they know that some slaves, some meat was coming over. The pure cultures of slavery, what they showed on Roots, is Disneyland compared to what really happened. You know when they took a whip and beat you with this whip? You see the lashes in the movies. Do you know that one whole layer of your back skin was torn off completely? And then they would take salt and throw on that. Salt on the wound. That's really salt on the wounds. And then they would take a cat, a little kitten, and put him on your back and he would claw into your flesh. They used to take slaves and take them and put them honey all over them and dig a big hole and throw them in the hole, tie them down in the hole, and the bugs and the insects would come and eat them to death with the honey. You know about the drawing quarter? Where they used to draw in quarter, they'd take all the black women that's pregnant, put them down in the middle of the field, get one black woman that's pregnant, put her, tie her leg to a tree, and arm to a tree, and one leg and her arm to the horse, and stick the horse would pull up, she would split in two, and the baby would fall on the ground, and then the white devil would go. Now you tell me that ain't the devil. You see what I'm saying? You just don't know the devil because you don't know your history. We don't know our history. This is nothing but the beast. This is nothing but the beast. He's a hater of women, and he got us on that kick. He is a patriarchal, sexist person. Homosexual. We know homosexual started in Greece. You know, and I want to go into this. Let me just get this because this is very important. Homosexual starts from a patriarchal society. What happens is this: when you're in a patriarchal society, you cannot use, because male and female, you have a male half and a female half. That's the duality. You have an aggressive side or a masculine side. I don't want to use the word aggressive. And you have a feminine side. Well, the man has a feminine side and a masculine side. But in a patriarchal society, they shut down the feminine side, right? By saying that you got to be this macho thing. You understand? So what happens is in the psyche is supposed to have this masculine side. The psyche jumps and it overcompensates, and this is where you get total homosexuality. You see, that's one thing about this book, Robert Graves, The Golden Ass of Apuleius. What it's talking about is actually, it's talking about how he went into the mysteries of Isis and he transformed his feminine side and saved him from all the bestiality. You see. See, man is a child. Woman already got it intact. But man is a child until man becomes half woman. That's not the perverted sense. You understand what I'm saying? That's not the homosexual sense. You see. But all this macho bull jive is a falsehood. See what I'm saying? It's coming from the European. And this is how homosexuality is rampant in Europe. Because of this. The psyche jumps. Get Jung's book, Archetype of the Collective Consciousness. Talks about how everybody comes from this great mother. I want to give you some books to get right quick before we go. And you can head out.
Maybe we could just come up and see what you have there, because it is getting
It might be quicker for him to call him out.
That's my girl there, so that's why she's saying that. Yeah, you didn't catch on. You know,
God has spoken.
you see, that's God talking.
God
That's God talking, you know. He's
uttered.
You know, you don't understand that, so that's why I'm saying that. See, the woman, your wife or your girlfriend is actually your mother. See, when you get rid of your real mother, you have to take on another mother. She has to take on another father. So she's actually your mother. Because your friends can jive you all you want to, but your woman can say, hey, I know. He getting over on you. And you can say, oh, you just get out of here. You ain't nothing, all that old bull jive. You don't know what you're talking about. Sooner or later, you done got over on you. So she getting over. So that's your mother, you see, so. But then again, that's the woman's righteous anyway. She can always look out. Because that's when we ran a patriarchal society. Mama made sure that we had everything intact. And that is heaven. That's what they call it, a celestial paradise. Because when mama running it, everything in that house, you're going to be taken care of. Like to this day, my mama said, well, look, you are, you know you got one homeless permanent. That's in South Carolina. You see? Well, that's when the woman ran the society, in our society. We didn't have to worry about that. We have to worry about all of this. You see? But see, now since the male is running everything, that's the devil. That's the beast. Number one, there's 2 books you should get. These books, this book was out of print because the white man didn't want you to get these 2 books. Okay, the white man didn't want you to get these 2 books because what happened with Gerald Massey is you got Diop, but you have a 19th century Diop, came from a white man and got into the British Museum, and that's where all your papyrus is. But what happened with Gerald Massey is he was a poor man that didn't have a childhood, and he despised white people. So every now and then you get a white person that jumps nature. This is one. Gerald Massey, Ancient Egypt, Light of the World. 2 volumes, $45 a piece, hardback, but if you wait around, they're going to come out with the softback, they're going to be like $20 a piece.
I'm sorry, Gerald Massey.
Gerald Massey. Introduction by Charles Finch, which is at the Morehouse Medical School, Charles Finch.
Okay.
Get another book. New book, Theology of Time. When you read this book and some stuff sounds spooky, don't look at actually what's being said, but look at the principles behind it. Because we know in all different cultures, principles have different meanings and they have different stories. And because a black man saying it, you don't want to get with it. But remember, a black man said it the other times before. Because that's where all the religions came from. So we don't say because way back then that a black man won't send a savior. We got plenty of saviors. You see? Book you gotta get. You want to learn about the Egyptian mystery system. Now I told black people to get this book the last time. Go to the black bookstores, ask them to order this. This book is little, right? You know I'm still studying this book. That's how condensed this book is. This book is a lifetime study. It's called Egyptian Mysteries by Arthur Versailles. Arthur, Versulis. Versailles. Good book to get. You can get the Pale Fox if you can find it. Good book, Pale Fox. Like I said, go to the First World has it. Well, you better go buy some of those up while they're chilling, because they're getting out of print books. You need to learn about some astronomy, right? And you going into the year 2000, and you don't know nothing about the stars. And the stars, you know that the stars, for every star there is something like, is a soul of black people, as the Egyptians said. The stars are God because God is everything, and you don't know that realm of God. You say, I want to go to heaven, but you don't know a damn thing about heaven. Excuse the expression. You need to learn about everything you can find about the stars. This is a book that is a primary source book that all the astronomers use to learn about the stars, that what is based on what the ancients wrote. This book is called Star Names, Their Allure, and Their Meaning by Richard Allen Hinckley. Well, Richard Allen alone should let you know you should get it. Just for that name, because we know who Richard Allen is. Since you're going into the elementary, the top, you need to get a book, Egyptian Heaven and Hell by Budge. It's about $5 for this book. It's real cheap. Egyptian Heaven and Hell. Good book to get.
What's that again?
The Egyptian Heaven and Hell by Budge.
Is that available?
Yeah, this is available. Only one that is not available. Another book, The Serious Mystery. This book, let's put it this way. Okay, you can't get the Pale Fox. This is the next best thing to it. A Serious Mystery by Robert Temple. I just don't agree. He said that Greece learned the serious stuff from Egypt and they took it to Dogon. We know the European. You got to take European scholarship with a grain of salt. We know that didn't happen. They are the descendants of the ancient Egyptians. Robert K. Temple. Robert K. G. Temple. This is the next best thing. To let you know that what I was telling you about that mythology that you thought was a whole bunch of spook stuff, you need to get a book called Hamlet's Mill. It's essays and investigations in the origin of human knowledge and its transmission through myth. So what it's telling you is the ancients used to, the knowledge that they used to, the human knowledge, they used to translate it in myth. You think all that stuff was spooky stuff. You see, when you go to Hemmitt, you see all those gods on the wall. You say, oh, that's pagan. It's not pagan. what happened is they understood the knowledge of God is a different manifestation of God. God is everywhere. Well, Christians say that. So they actually showed you that God was everywhere. So when you had all them different gods, when you put them together, they represented the one God concept. You understand? Another good book, Secrets of the Great Pyramids. Talk about them cycles and all of that. Serious cycles. Another book I said mention again. I want you to mention this book, Echoes of the Dark Land, because if you're going to be getting into those cycles, you need to know. Number one, it's got the whole article on the world's great mother. Got an article on the beginning of Christianity and Judaism and how they all came about out of Kemet. But it also has an article in here called the Kemetic Calendar and the World's Great Year. That's that Sirius cycle. And it tells you the science behind that. And there's a lot of stuff in there. It also gives you the dates and the numbers to go by. You'll see. Another book called Pyramid Prophecies. In this book they talk a little bit on the Conference of Nicaea, how they put 2 or 3 religions together to make one religion. And how the whole thing with the Conference of Nicaea, how they took books out of the Bible and all of that. Also, it goes into some prophecies that's going on, that's going on, and they give you 1996, this will happen. They say 1992, you won't know whether it's winter or summer. Can we bear witness to that? You don't know whether it's winter or summer. I remember in 1994, Christmas, 1984, Christmas was 70 degrees. You see? So the season. Another book, Sacred Science by R.A. Swallow de Lubitz. Getting into a lot of scientific elements that we need to be studying. These books, this is another book for you. The Genesis Revisited. It's talking about genetic mutating or genetic engineering in the ancient world. Also, it's talking about spaceships and all that stuff. $4. Stairway to Heaven. Zachariah Stitchin again. Both of these books. He has about 4 books out. 12th Planet, Stairway to Heaven, The Lost Realm, and another book. Wars of God and Man. Good book. So get those books. Another book to get. Monuments on Mars, A City on the Edge Forever. Richard C. Hoagland. He deals with the Sirius mystery in here. He deals with Mars. He deals with life on Mars. He deals with Egypt. He deals with all of it in here. Good book. This book was a little bit smaller, and he added another 100 pages on it about a month ago, and this is the 100-page volume out now for $16. The other one was 12, but he got 100 more pages. I think he did the other one in '86. He did this one in about a month ago. Just came out. Like I said, from ancient Egypt. It has also the underworld, the Tao, talking about that. It's talking about everything you want to know about religion in ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet in this book. 9 books, Dover publication. Always put out cheap books, and it's all real easy to read with index and all of that baby. Another book by Lucy Lamy, Egyptian Mysteries. It's a good book. Good book to get, but it's not as good as this one, because this book is packing. This book is packing. There's no religion higher than truth. This is Arthur Versailles. You know. Another book talking about the mysteries. Well, this is a good book. Now, you need to get this book. You need to get this book. This is Above Top Secret by Timothy Good. The reason why, because like I said, there's a lot of books now on UFOs, and some of those books are good books. But some of those books are propaganda books put out by the CIA and the government. This is one book that is straight up.
Is Bill Cooper book one of those propaganda books?
No, I don't think so. But what Bill Cooper is doing is he's writing a lot of stuff for his people to get saved.
Right, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? See, Bill Cooper said himself that he wouldn't have no problem with going right into the New World Order if all white people was included. He just mad because he ain't included.
Right.
You see, it's basically the rich people that's included. Another book where the white man is writing on how to actually get in touch with the whole celestial body of Sirius and how to line up the dates on what you're supposed to be doing and just all kinds of things he's talking about in this book on what's happening with these time doors closing up and all. It's real technical, but it's called a line path. You can take it with you. A manual and a short path to regeneration in our own time. So he's writing to white people, telling them, you better get on the ball because some things are getting ready to happen. This is this book. His name is Muaios. Book, The Line Path. That's what it's got his last name on that. Another good book, if you want to read about the mothership, get this book. The Mother Planes is in the back. It's on page. It's 3 pages on the Mother Planes. About 4 or 5 pages on the Mother Plane. The Fall of America by Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the man with the 3rd grade education. You see, predicting things verbatim on what's happening in the future. Because see, they knew God knew, if I come with the person with the 3rd grade education, the Tom factor and the Uncle Tom factor will reject him. And that's the weeding out process. So the Savior won't be in the scholar. It'll be in the man with the 3rd grade education. We've got some divine wisdom, but you can't comprehend it because you are too intellectual. And all. Another some books you need to get. White woman, she has 2 volumes. I got just one of the. She has 2 volumes of these each. You get 2 volumes for $17. Isis Unveiled for H.P. Blavatsky and The Secret Doctrines. 2 volumes each for like $17. This volume and this volume. This white woman was so bad until the white Masons gave her 33rd degree in Masonry. Because everything is in here. There's one part in here where she says, quoting Gerald Massey, that there's 8 different races of men, all with different manners and different lifestyles. Each will be given a time to rule, which would be limited by a circuit of a great year. That's talking about that cycle. Sirius cycle. You see, Sirius is the dog star. They call it the dog star because the dog barks. When the danger gets close to the house, the dog barks to tell you to wake up. Check. You see, the dog star. That's what it's called, the dog star. Another book, I don't know, brother, look, I tell you what. You remember I was saying about the Virgin of the World and you couldn't get, people, did you ever get the Virgin of the World?
You picked up about 5 copies on the West Coast.
Oh, you did? You got it? Oh, you straight. Now, on the West Coast? Okay, good. Start reading that and trying to decipher it because it's got a lot of stuff in it. But you know what? We